Yes, surely.
Faizan, we are live. Go ahead with the introduction.
Hello everyone. Firstly, before we move ahead with the session, I would request everyone to join us on YouTube instead of the Zoom link, because we have a limitation on Zoom and not everyone will be able to join us over there. So I hope that the students who are not able to join over there due to the room being full can join us on YouTube. Okay. So moving ahead, that's evening over the Ghana, and it's almost night over India. So let's have a brief introduction before we move ahead and dive into the session with Sheetal ma'am. So Sheetal ma'am is an assistant professor in Department of Computer Engineering here in Pillai College of Engineering. She has over 17 years of experience in teaching and has expertise in a number of domains, including computer networks, cloud computing. Alongside, she has published various number of international papers in number of journals and conferences. She has also worked as a paper reviewer. So we have her here with us to get her knowledge and her insights on computer network fundamentals. So without further ado, ma'am, I would just like to hand over the session to you and you can take the session forward.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for taking out your time and joining. Ma'am is very active contributor to the community. And as I told ma'am, okay, there is a session for CSA. She agreed, like, okay, yeah, we can do it, even if it's late night, that's okay. And she agreed. So thank you very much, ma'am. And also, I would like to thank Bonaventure for taking this initiative and taking all the communication ahead with all the groups of the African regions, maybe Morocco, maybe Nigeria, maybe Zambia, maybe other regions, all the regions of Africa, and also is moving ahead. Also, we are going ahead with a lot of plans for the UK region, for the US region, and for the Asian region. So that's a very great thing which is happening now, and the awareness is going on. So I just like to listen few thoughts from Bona, and then we can start. All right, over to you, Bonaventure. Faizan, is he on the call?
Yes, sir, he is on the call, but he's having some network issues.
Network issues, I see. So shall just please ask him over the phone that shall we go ahead or should we wait?
Sure, sir, just a minute.
Take your time.
Yeah, so he's here. I guess the network is stable now.
All right, so I welcome you all, cyber secured students of Africa. I welcome you all, and I'm glad to have you on board. So, this is a cybersecurity program and internship program that CSI and myself we've come together to organize this to help spread the awareness of cybersecurity. So I welcome you all, and then I want you all to just keep abreast. Just stay tuned to get ready for the task that is ahead. The virtual program is going to take on for 3 to 4 months, of which the team will touch down to Africa, and then there will be a live conference. So it's easy. It's easy. Just stay calm, follow instructions, and then that's all. That's all for now.
All right then. So let us start with our today's session without getting any delays. So thank you very much, ma'am, again for joining us. And please, it's all yours. Please, it's all yours.
Thank you, Nikhil, sir, for giving me the opportunity. Please confirm, is my screen visible
Yes, ma'am. It's perfectly visible.
and I am audible too?
Yeah.
So, good evening to all. My name is Sheetal Gawande, and I am the professor in Department of Computer Engineering at Pillai College of Engineering, Maharashtra, India. Okay. Today we are here of internship session, the first session for cybersecurity internship, and the topic for today's session is networking fundamentals. So the very basic thing, when you want to build your career, or when you want to uh, get a knowledge in cybersecurity, or when you want to explore the cybersecurity domain, you should go with networking. The network, it is a fundamental for cyber security. So listen each and every detail, and after that you can explore this room in on back so that you can have the practical sessions also. Today also I will try to show you some basic networking command and one networking package sniffer tool version. Okay, if the time permits. Okay, so let's start with networking fundamentals. Now, the first, what are the agenda for today's session, or what are the different topics we are going to cover? The first, introduction to computer network. The second is taxonomy use. The third one is protocol. Then networking command and networking tools. So these are the practical sessions. I will demonstrate you some commands, and I will introduce you with the tools. So the first, we will start with introduction to computer network. Now, so as a word, it will be quite easy to understand. So the first, we will start with the definition of computer net. Now, when we start with the definition of computer network, we first divide this word computer network in two different parts. One is computer and the second one is a network. So everyone knows the computer because today's era is of only the computer. Even school going kids also having a computer at their school. They can perform some tasks on it. They can draw the pictures. They can play the music. They can play the game on the computer. Okay, so it is a system, right? Computer system which can have one CPU, then monitor, and the keyboard, mouse. We call it is an input output device, right? So this is the computer. Now the second word, that is an network. What it means? That means we are interconnected.
Hello, Shital ma'am.
Yes.
Sorry for interrupting. Actually, students are saying that they are able to hear you, but your voice is low. So, is it feasible for you to move somewhere closer to the mic?
1 minute. Yeah. Now it's audible.
Yes, ma'am. It's better.
Yeah, it's better now.
Yeah. So the second word. So we are at the definition of computer network. To understand what do you mean by computer network, we first divide this word into two different parts. One is computer and the second one is an network. The word computer we are quite familiar with. Okay, school going kids are also familiar with this particular word as they are having the computer at their school. They use this computer to play games, to draw pictures, to play music, and all these things, right? Even we are also using the computer for our day-to-day life, right? So this is a particularly a system with some CPU, monitor. Basically, we call it is an input-output devices, right? The next word that is an computer. The next word is network. Okay, what it means the network. So we are interconnecting the devices. Now, which devices? The computer devices. We computer devices. So so this is a one computer device. This is another computer device, right? And we are making a connection between them. We are making the connection between them. Simply like this. Now here for simplicity, I use only two devices. There are lot many devices which are interconnected to each other. Which are interconnected to each other. Thousands of devices are interconnected to each other, right? So that we call it is a computer network. We design or we form a network like our friend network. We are interconnected to each other, right? ABC is a friend of XYZ and XYZ introduces ABC to someone else, then they will become a friend and the network will go on, right? So same way, here also we are forming a network of computer. We are interconnecting various devices. We can add another devices into the network and they will connect to each other like this, right? Then so that they can communicate to each other, right? What is the objective? Why we creating the network? Why we interconnecting these computer system? Because we want to communicate between these computer. Now, why we require the communication? To share the information, to share the resources, to share the resources. So that is the one objective we are having. That's why we form a computer network. Now, coming back to the definition of computer network. Computer network, it is interconnection of various computer systems so that they can communicate to each other. They can communicate to each other. They can share the information among them, right? And they can share the resources, the different resources. So this is a definition for computer network. It's clear? Now coming to the next one. So here you are getting the definition for computer network. Refers to interconnected computing devices that can exchange data, share resources with each other. These network devices use a system of rules called communication protocol. What are the rules they are using for communication? It is called the protocol. We will study about that in the coming slides. To transmit information over physical or a wireless technology for both. It is for wired as well as wireless technology, right? So this is a computer network. What are the taxonomy used in computer network? The first, we have to understand OSI reference model. Then what are the different networking devices? What are the different topology, addressing, routing, subnet, NAT, DNS, and VPN. Okay, here I listed some, but there are lot many taxonomy used in computer network. But here I listed the important one. Now, come to the OSI reference model. So it is a reference model defined for computer network. It is a reference model defined for the computer network. In that, this reference model has 7 layers. It is divided into 7 layers. Okay. And each and every layer has a different function. Each and every layer has a different function and they will use for the communication. So in this diagram, you will getting the layers, the function of each layer, right? Okay. So the first layer, that is a physical layer. First layer, it is a physical layer, which is used to transmit raw bit stream over the physical medium, So this is a function of physical layer. Then the next is data link layer. It defines the format of data on the network. And whatever the data representation at the data link layer, it is in the form of frames. It is in the form of frames. After that, there will be the network layer, which will decide the path the data will take. Okay, how the data will transmit, which path it has to choose, and the data represented at network layer, it is in the form of packet. It is in the form of packet. Then on top of that, we are having a transport layer, which is used to transmit using transmission protocol, the TCP and UDP. On next is session layer, which is used to maintain connection and responsible for controlling the ports and session. Then we are having presentation layer, where the encryption will take place for the data, whatever we are exchanging. And at the top, we are having the application layer, where actual user can interact with the. Okay. So these are the total 7 layers we are having in OSI reference model, right? But this is only the reference model. We are not using this model for communication in the computer network. We are using this model that is called the TCP/IP model. Again, the structure is same. Here also there is a layer structure like the reference OSI reference model. But there are different, some layers are not there in the TCP/IP model. You can see over here, this application, presentation, and session. These 3 layers, which are separated in OSI reference model, are combined at the TCP/IP reference. All these 3-layer functions are combined into one layer. Okay? Now, in TCP/IP model, we are having only 4 to 5 layers, 4 to 5 layers. The physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport layer, and there is an application layer which will play the role of application, presentation, and the session. And this is called as an TCP/IP TCP/IP model, which is used for communication in the computer. Next is interconnecting devices. Now coming back to our diagram, this diagram, right? Now, as I explained you, these are the computer systems. We are interconnecting these systems, okay? But when we interconnect these computer systems with a wire or a wireless media, it is not sufficient for the communication. When you're thinking for large scale network or when the computer system, one computer system is far away from another computer system, so only connecting through the wires and wireless media is not sufficient for a successful and for efficient communication. So in between that, we will have some inter-networking devices. So we have to insert some inter-networking devices. So here we can have different inter-networking devices so that we can have a successful communication between these computer systems, right? Now, what are that different communication devices? Let's see. So there are hub, then switch, the router, and the gateway. So hub, the first is hub, right? So hub, it is an networking device in which we can have or we can connect multiple computer systems. Basically, it is a multi-port device. It is multi-port device. There are multiple ports into that device, and you can plug multiple devices to the hub. But again, this is not a good interconnecting devices or internetworking devices to design a computer network, right? So this we generally use at a cyber cafe or at our home so that we can have multiple USB port, Okay. So the next is switch. In this diagram, you are getting the diagram for the switch. These are the switch 1, switch 2. This is the device at layer 2. This is the device at layer 2. It is also called as layer 2 switch. Layer 2 switch. Again, it is an multi-port device. Again, it is an multi-port device. You can connect multiple devices to the switch. Multiple devices to the switch. Okay, it is having the multiple ports so that you can plug various or multiple devices to it, and we can spread our network. We can have or we can design a large network in which we are having thousands of computer systems interconnected to each other, and they can communicate. Again, we can have the layer structure, the layer, the switch, and this one, same like this. Okay, so it is a switch, it is a multi-port device. Now the question is, what is the difference between the hub and the switch? The switch, it is, we call it is pro, right? If I talk to your language, that your language means that generation language, whatever the present generation you are having, and hub is move. Why? when we connect the computer network or when we design the computer network using hub will transmit that data to each and every computer system into the computer, into the network. Switch will not do like this. It will use.
Ma'am,
Yes. Again.
sorry. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Now clear?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Now the next is what difference you are having into hub and switch. Switch is some having some intelligence. Okay. So it is a pro type of device we can call it as. Now, how it is pro? When we design a network using switch and when we transmit a data using switch, switch will send the data to the respective destination, to the respective destination. On the other hand, hub will send that packet to each and every node present into the network, Let's see. So here, if you considering this as an hub, so here, or we can, if I modify this one, and I will connect this computer system to this hub also. And this cross system want to communicate with this one, hub will transmit that data to this system also. Switch will not do like this. What the switch will do, when the data is coming from this computer and it is meant for this computer, it will transmit to this only, not to this, not to this. So that is a basic difference between the hub and switch. Next is router. It is at layer 3, switch at layer 2, and router it is at layer 3. It is at layer 3. So when I say layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, that means I am talking with respect to reference model, whatever we studied before. So the router, it is at layer 3. So the layer 3, it is a network layer. Router, you are getting at the network layer. Switch, it is the layer 2. So it is at data link. It is at data link. Now, if you read the name router, it specify the path, right? So it will show the route. It will show the route, right? So the main function of the router is to forward a packet into the network, forward a packet into the network. Before that, it has to find out the path from source to destination. And after that, it has to forward that packet to into the network, right? So this is a router. This is a router. Here you are getting, in this diagram, you are getting the router. Okay. Again, it is an multi-port device. We can have multiple port to it so that we can connect multiple devices to it, right? So we can have the switches, we can connect multiple switch to it, and within and using that, the packet will be transmitted. Okay. So if you consider this diagram, so the router will identify the path and it will forward that packet either to the switch 1 or to the switch 2, to the switch 2, and then that particular packet will float into the internet net. So this is an router. Next device, that is an gateway, which is again nothing but an router only. Now the question is, when that router will be in the role of router and when that router will be in the role of gateway. Okay. The question is, when the router will be in the role of router and when it will be in the role of gateway. Very simple answer to this question. Router, it is used, or router will be in the mode of router or in the role of router for homogeneous system. For homogeneous system. So that means There are protocol is same, their structure is same, like this. Okay, and the gateway, it is used, that router will be in the role of gateway when you are having a heterogeneous network, having the heterogeneous network, right? So that is an gateway. That is an gateway. The simple example I will explain you, right? Now we are having cyber secure India and we are having cyber secure Africa. There is a huge difference, heterogeneity, not we can say the difference, heterogeneity between the India and the Africa. The peoples we having at India, peoples having at an Africa. Our mother tongue is different, our skin color is different, eye color is different, height is different, right? The way of talking is different, right? So when we are having a communication, we are communicating through the gateway. We are communicating through the gateway. So when there is an heterogeneous system, so for the network, how the heterogeneity is there, it is with respect to their design, the computer network design, then the protocols they are using, how they represent the data, and all these things. So that is an heterogeneity in the network. So when there is an heterogeneity in the network, that router will be act as an gateway and the communication will take place through the gateway, right? So this is the interconnecting devices. So these are the four interconnecting devices we can have: the hub, switch, router, and the grid. Then the bridge is there, which is again an layer 2, but it is used in the internal network only, uh, to utilize the full bandwidth of the network, true bandwidth of that connection. Okay, so for that, the bridge is used. Again, it is used for homogeneous network. It is not used for the heterogeneous network. Right? So these are the various interconnecting or internetworking devices: the hub, switch, router, and the gateway. Next, the protocol. What do you mean by the protocol? Protocol is nothing but the rules. Protocol, nothing but the rules. So various rules are defined for the communication. Now our day-to-day life also, we are having different rules for communication, right? How we can communicate with our teacher, there is a different rule. When we communicate with our parents, there are different rules. When we communicate with our friends, there are different rules, right? The same way, when we are having a communication into the network, we are having different type of communication. Sometimes we are sending the mail, sometimes we are accessing the data, sometimes we are accessing the remote desktop. Lot many usage are there. Sometimes we are using web application, sometimes we are accessing the database, right? So for that we can have a different protocol. Here also I have listed very few, and which are very important and mostly used protocol in the computer network. There are lot many protocols are there in computer network. As your application change, protocol change. The simple rule is there. Okay. And the protocol, it is nothing but the rules which are defined for the communication. Faisal, I think someone mic is unmute. It is creating the disturbance. Please check.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, Bonus's mic is on. I will just bring him over.
Yeah. So these are the protocols: IP, Internet Protocol, HTTP, HTTPS. We use for these web application to access any web application. Then this is an TCP, that is the Transmission Control Protocol. The second one is UDP, that is a User Datagram Protocol. This is a connection oriented protocol. This is connection-less protocol. What do you mean by the connection orientation? Right? So connection orientation, in that the sender and receiver first check for the connection. Once they establish a connection between them, they will start the communication, right? So for today's session also, we all check for our mic testing, then video of the presentation and internet connectivity and all these things. And after that, we started the communication. Okay, so this is an connection oriented. Basically, Zoom is not using TCP protocol, but such a type of connection. So when we are having the first step is connection establishment. Say we will have hi, hello, we will introduce ourselves, we can have the connection between us, and that means we are agree for the communication. What a connection oriented means, we are agree for the communication, and using that particular channel we can communicate. So that is a connection oriented, and for that transmission control protocol is used. Then there is an UDP protocol, that is an user datagram protocol, or it is sometimes it is called as an U for unreliable. Why? It is an connection less. It is a connection less. So what the connection less means? There is no connection establishment, no prior signal will send. It is not checking whether the destination is ready for communication or not. Destination is ready for communication or not. We, without checking all these things, it will start the communication. It will forward a packet, and it is least bother whether that packet is reached at destination. If it is reach, if it is reach at the destination, it is correctly reach or not. It is never bothered of this. So that's why it is an connection less. Connection less. Whenever there is a data to send, it will send the packet without bothering the state of the destination, state of the destination, whether it is ready, whether it is live, whether it is a dead, and all those. Then there will be the next protocol, that is ICMP. So it is an control message protocol. It is used along with the internet protocol, that is an IP protocol. Then there will be SMTP protocol, which is a simple mail transfer protocol, which is used especially when we are sending the mail. Then there is an SSL, that is a secure socket layer. So it is used for secure communication. And then there is the next protocol, that is an IPsec, which is used in VPN to encrypt the data, encrypt the data. So these are the some protocol I have listed over here. There are lot many protocols in computer network which are used for the communication or during the communication, right? Now, this is a very important concept, that is addresses, right? Now, coming back to our picture. So, now, as I say, this is the interconnection, right? Now, we are connected various computer systems. Now, we are put some internetworking devices also, so that we can have a good communication, right? But how this particular computer system know, or this router will know this is a particular destination where this computer want to connect? How we are getting, right? How this router or how this computer want to connect, or this is an how it will be identify a particular node into the network. Okay, so that is a big question, right? How it will identify a particular node or a particular host or a particular computer system into the network. So for that, what we required? We required the addresses. We require the addresses, right? So when you want to send the message to your friend, right? What you required? You required the address. It may be the email address. It may be the WhatsApp number. It may be the Telegram group name, right? So there are lot many ways for the communication, but you will require a unique address to reach to the destination, right? So when you want to connect to your friend via WhatsApp, you will require his or her WhatsApp number. When you want to communicate with your friend via email, so what you required? You required the email address. When you want to send a letter to your friend, right? So what you required? You will require a postal address. You will require the postal address. In that, you are having his or her name, then their home name, house number, the street name, the street number, the country, right? All these things, and the pin code. And the pin code. So that postal address include all these things. Fine. So these are the different addresses we can have in our day-to-day life for the communication or to connect to each other. So here also we are communicating, we are communicating through Zoom. So what is the address here? That is a Zoom link. We are connecting, or you are joining through the YouTube link. So that link again, it is nothing but an address where you can connect to your destination, right? Or we can have an communication. The same way, there are the concept of addresses used in the computer network to identify a particular host or a particular computer or a particular node into the network. So there are three different addresses we will require. Three different addresses we will require. The first is IP address. There are two different types of IP address. One is IPv4. So this is an version 4. This is a version for this particular protocol, version 4. It is 32-bit. The length of this address is 32-bit. Then there will be the second version for the same protocol. It is IPv6. The length of that IP address is 128 bit. 128 bit. After that, or sorry, before that, IP address, it is a logical address. It is a logical address given to the computer system so that we can have a communication into the network. Then there is a MAC address. MAC address, it is also called as a physical address. MAC address, it is also called as a physical address. It is an address given to the computer system which is printed on network interface card. Network interface card is a special hardware which is present in your computer system. Through that, we can connect to the network. So the NIC card, it is called that network interface card. Network interface card, that NIC. It is an NIC, network interface card. Network interface card, which is present, which is a special type of hardware, which is present in every computer system. Through that, we can connect the computer system to the network. If you don't have NIC card in your computer system, you can't connect that computer system into the network. That is the golden rule or the thumb rule. So when you want to connect your computer to the network, that NIC card is must. And one unique number is specified or given to this network interface card by the manufacturer by the manufacturer, and we call it is an MAC address. We call it is an MAC address, which is of 48 bits. The length of that address is 48 bit. So the first address, that is an logical address. The second address, the physical address. In logical address, it is called as an IP address. There are two different versions for IP address, IPv4 and IPv6. For IPv4, it is 32 bit. For IPv6, it is 128. MAC address, the length of that address is 48 bit. 48 bit. So it is a physical address. It is the address for the NIC card, which is assigned by the manufacturer of that particular card. Right? So this is a MAC address. Along with that, what we require, the third address, that is a port address. The port, again, it is an logical device which is used for the communication with a different application. With a different application. So when we want to share a PDF file from one computer to another, that communication will take place via a single port, or which is a very unique port for that PDF file share, right? So that's sort of. So that is port address, right? Which is of 16 bit. Which is of 16 bit. So if we combine the IP address and the port address, if we combine IP address plus port address, that will become your socket address. That will become your socket address that are used for the communication between two different computers. So IP address, logical address with two version, V4 and V6. Version 4, it is 32 bit. Version 6, it is 128 bit. MAC address, it is a physical address, which is of 48 bit. The port address, which is of 16 bit, which is specially for the application, Now, your IP address, when I say it is 32 bit, okay, for IPv4. So it is divided into 4 bytes. It is divided into 4 bytes. Byte 1, byte 2, byte 3, and byte 4. Now this byte has a distinct function, or we can identify the network ID and the host ID. The network ID and the host ID. Why we require this discrimination for the IP address, right? Now we can have our day-to-day life also. We can have the same name for two different people. Same name for two different people, right? But how we can identify that individual one? We are having something extra, right? Maybe the last name, maybe the middle name, maybe the pet name, whatever it is, right? So that we can identify, right? So the same way, when we are having a computer, that that IP address for a particular computer, we have to identify it uniquely, in which network it is belong, and what is its host ID. What is its host ID? Now, your IP address is divided into 5 different classes. It is called as an classful addressing. The range is specified for each and every addresses. So the for class A, again, the length is 32 bit for each and every class. With this byte 1, it is reserved for NAT ID. So from when it is class A, the first byte represent the NAT ID. Rest 3 bytes represent the host ID. Represent the host ID. For class B, first 2 byte, byte 1 and byte 2 represent the NAT ID. That is nothing but a network ID. That is nothing but the network ID. Byte 3 and byte 4 represent the host ID. Host ID is nothing but the computer ID. Computer ID. Class C. In class C, first 3 bytes represent the NAT ID and the last byte represent the host ID. Class D it is used for multicast and the class C is used is reserved. Is a reserved. But again, nowadays we are not using these nomenclature or this classical addressing for communication. Nowadays, what we are having CIDR notation. It is called as an CIDR notation. Okay, it is a full form classless interdomain routing. Classless interdomain routing. In that, it is represented by slash, and we are having some values over there. Okay, specifically small n. Okay, so this way that it is represented along with the IP address. So nowadays we are following this IP address one, that is classless interdomain routing, which is represented by slash n. So so this is about your addressing. Then next is the next topic, that is an domain name system. Again, it is an very important what a domain name system is. Now, when we access something on the internet, we access using name. Say for example, when I want to search something on the internet, I will search www.google.com. Okay, what I will type in the browser, www.google.com. Okay. But computer system, as I explained, it uses the IP address. It doesn't understand this google.com, the facebook.com, the LinkedIn one, whatever it is, what are the different we are these web applications or websites we are searching for, right? So computer system doesn't understand. It understand in the form of IP address only. Now the we human, we are understand it is very difficult for us to remember the IP address, to remember the number, right? When somebody asks you, instead of www.google.com or www.facebook.com, search in the when you want to search when you want to open a google.com or when you want to open a facebook.com, type a IP address 192.168.10.0. For Facebook, it is 192.170 or 10.1 and so on, right? So when somebody asks you to remember this one, it is quite difficult for us. So for that, to make it easy to or we can have this machine interaction, human machine interaction, we call it this, right? So for that we can have a domain name system. So domain name system is nothing but a phone book. It is nothing but a phone book of the internet. In that, IP address of the respective domain is stored. IP address of the respective domain is stored, right? Like a phone book that we are having in our phone. We are having into our phone. XYZ, this particular number, ABC, this particular number, right? So and so forth. So the same way, domain name system is like a phone book in that corresponding IP address of a particular domain is stored. So when we search www.google.com, it will first hit to the domain name system. It will identify the IP address of google.com, and then it will redirect that request to the respective IP address. IP address. So www.google.com is for us, but the computer system understand only in the form of IP address, that is internal protocol address. And for that, we are having domain name system, which is just like a phone book. In that, all these data are stored in a tabular format. In a tabular format, there it is called as an records. It is called as an a record in DNS. So in that particular IP address of an respective domain is specified. So here we are getting a fully qualified domain name. So when it is a dot, how to read, you are quite familiar with this. This is root, right? Then we are having the top level domain. Then we are having the second level domain. Then we are having a subdomain, and we are having a fully qualified domain. So this is a fully qualified domain. And here the protocol is also specified. Protocol is also specified, right? So this is the URL, which is you are quite familiar with this type of URL. In our day-to-day life, we always enter into the web browser about www.google.com, www.facebook.com, www.twitter.com, so on and so forth, amazon.com. Sometimes there are for Amazon, there are co in, so that is for India. There will be a separate for US. It may be separate for Africa. So they are we call it is the second level domain, right? So it is divided into hierarchical structure. We are having to distinguish between them. This will be clear in this picture. So here it is a root domain. In that we are having these top domain, that .com, .edu, .gov. So .com it is commercial one, edu that is for educational one, gov it is for the government, and so on and so forth, right? In that we can have a different one. So say for example amazon.com. In that we are having amazon co.in, amazon co.us, amazon co.uk, and so on so forth. So this way we can have the hierarchical structure in the domain name system, so that it will stored in such a way in the form of records, and their hierarchical structure they maintain in the form of records at the domain name system, so that when the user is requesting for any domain name, it quickly answer you with the IP address, and you will connect to that respective IP address. Now the how the communication will take place using DNS. So here when we are requesting for google.com, when we are requesting for google.com, right? So here there is if you search uh, if you are searching first time, or if you already search for google.com, if you already search for google.com, so whatever the cache you are having, that local DNS server at your end, it will store that record into that local server, into that local server. So when the user is requesting for google.com, it will first search into the local DNS. It will first search into the local DNS. If it is there, it will give a reply with that IP address, and it will be connected to the respective IP address. If not, what happened if that particular search is not at your local DNS server. What that local DNS server will do, it will ask you that I don't have the IP address of google.com. Basically, I am narrating you the story, right? What that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 means. Okay. I am narrating you. Basically, there will be no communication as such. It will, once you type www.google.com, it will redirect to www.google.com. We are totally unaware what happened into the background. I will try to explain you what happened in the background when we will asking for www.google.com. What is the role of DNS and how it will help. So it will first search into the local DNS. If it is there, it will redirect or it will give you that particular IP address and your browser will redirect to that location. If it is not, what that local DNS will do, local DNS will tell you that google.com IP address is not in my record, but I can give you the IP address of root DNS, root DNS, and you can find out this. Okay. So what that local DNS will give the IP address of that root DNS. Okay. So the query will be forward. This is second number. The query will be forward to the root DNS. Again, it will search for google.com. If it is there, it will redirect you. But if it is not, then this root DNS server will say, I don't have the IP address of google.com. It may be at a top level domain name server. I will provide you the IP address of top level domain. So once you got this one, your browser or you will send a request to the top level domain. Now again, when the request will be at top level domain, again top level domain, that request that entry is not there. What the top level domain will do, it is not register. It is not. I am not having that particular IP address, but you can contact to second level domain, and I have the IP address of that second level domain. You can ask. So again, the request will be redirected to second level domain. Requested to second level domain, and now the address is there. IP address is there at the second level domain. Second level domain will give you the IP address of google.com. Then your total in local DNS will save that record at that local cache, and your browser will hit to the respective IP address. So this way your DNS will work. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this way, these are the different steps, and your IP address, you are connecting to the google.com. So this way your DNS will work. DNS will work. Again, the next concept, that is a NAT. NAT stand for network address translation. Network address translation. Now come to this. What is that network address translation? Okay. Now before that, we have to clear some ideas about IP address. Basically, our system had two different IP address. Two different IP addresses. One is private IP address. It may be IPv4, IPv6. Okay, private IP address and public IP address. So private IP address we are getting free when we purchase the computer system, and when we connect our computer system to the network, that we can assign that one, and it is free. It is free. Private IP address is free, but public IP address we have to purchase. Public IP address we have to purchase. Private IP address is used to communicate in the intranet. We call it as an intranet, internally into the network. But when we want to connect to the outside world, when we want to connect to the outside world, we will require the public IP address. We will require the public IP address. Getting clear? The private IP and the public IP. Okay? So these two different types of IP addresses we are having when we communicating into the internet. Okay, private IP is for our host, uh, and which is used to communicate with the within an intranet. But when we want to connect to outside world means through the internet. Okay, so when you want to search www.google.com, or when you want to join the Zoom link, we require that internet. We require the internet, and to get a service of internet, we require the public IP. We require the public IP, right? So every system has that private IP and the public IP. Private IP is free. Public IP you have to pay. You have to purchase, right? So when we have an internet connection, definitely we pay for it, right? If it is by mobile data or your Wi-Fi router you are having at your home, or you can have an wired connection of Ethernet connection for the internet, but you have to pay for that. That is your public IP, right? So to check the public IP of your system, public IP of your system, there is a website called what is my public IP. Here you can search. Okay, so this one, right? For security purpose, I am not clicking on this one because it will explore the details of my public IP. Fine. So you can try at your own. So this is the first link. If you click on that, you will getting the details along with the internet service provider. Internet service provider. To explore more, what you have to do, you first check on the laptop. Okay, then for your mobile Wi-Fi, turn off the Wi-Fi, turn on the mobile data, turn on the mobile data, and check for the public IP. Check for the public IP. So you will getting a difference, right? The service provider also and all these things. So it will be easy to you to understand the concept. So this way you can identify the public IP of your system. Okay. Again, I am repeating, public IP you have to purchase. Private IP it is free, but public IP you have to purchase. And the public IP you will require to connect to the outside world. Connect to the outside world. Now, what is NAT? After that, we have to come to the concept of NAT, that is an network address translation. So what address translation? It is from private to public. The translation is from private to public. Now, how we require? Why we require this network address translation? Why we require this network address translation? So your NAT will play a very important role. NAT will play a very important role in your security. You can hide your private IP when we are having a NAT. You can hide your private IP. You can have all the communications with the public IP. You can have through the public IP. considering the example of Amazon.com, that e-commerce web application, Amazon, right? So for Amazon.com, that e-commerce, I am talking with respect to e-commerce web application where we can purchase a lot many things, right? So in that, uh, if you see the architecture of that, there are lot many servers, lot many database servers are there, right? And the data are stored on the database, and when someone is searching for a product, that will be available, right? But there are some data which are not available publicly to the user, like their employees record and all these things. So where they stored at the private one, right? But how they are interconnected, how they are connected to the outside world. So for that, they are using the network address translation, that NAT. They are use a NAT gateway for the communication. So when they are using a NAT for communication, your private IP will be hide, and one IP will be assigned through the NAT, and through that you can communicate. You can communicate. So that is your network address translation. Network address translation. Simply, you can just try at your home. Try in the sense you can check if you are having a router at your home, and through that Wi-Fi router. I am talking with respect to Wi-Fi router. And there are you can say multiple devices like your laptop, mobile phone, your TV are connected to that router, and you are accessing the internet on all the devices, so when you setting the query, or when you send the request, there will be a single IP. When that request will go out, there will be the single IP, so it will hide the private IP. So the hackers mostly use these NAT concept to do the masquerading attack, So that is network address translation, NAT. So it is at public word, and it is used to connect to the outside word or to the public one without showing your identity. Okay, it is used to hide the identity, which is used to hide the identity. So that is your network address translation. Fine. Then next is virtual private network, that is a VPN. So what is that VPN? Again, this is very important as far as security is concerned. So here we can have end-to-end private network. End-to-end private network. What it means? Say for example, for any organization, they are having one branch at the Mumbai or in the India, alright? And they are having their intranet at the Mumbai branch in the India. And there is a second branch which is in Africa. So how that communication will take place? If they go for public channel, or the security will be compromised. If the communication will be there, definitely. But if they use a public channel, the security will be compromised. They don't have a private communication between these two branches. To have a private communication between these branches, they can establish a virtual private network between them, and through that channel they can have the communication. There are lot many benefits. You are having cost saving, security, scalability, compatibility, right? Here we are having the picture will be more clear. Okay, so here the tunnel is set up, and whatever one branch is there, another is here. Again, here the word is you use the gateway, because there is an heterogeneity. So, and whatever the communication between these, it will be via this tunnel only. So it is a private channel which is established. We call it is an virtual private network, and your Mumbai branch, which is located in India, will communicate with the Africa branch through this tunnel only. and whatever the communication we are having through this tunnel, it is encrypted using a protocol IPsec, using a protocol IPsec. So you can have a private or a secure communication using virtual private network, virtual private network. So these are the two different protocols which are used to provide the security in VPN, IPsec and SSL. Okay, and these are the some characteristics and there's comparison between the IPsec and SSL. Now come to the networking commands. Okay, so today I will show you some networking command. Okay. Now, for that, I have to go to the terminal. I will open the terminal. Now, the first command, which is if config. The first command, it is an if config. What is the use of this command? This command is used to identify the IP address of the system or the IP address of the host which is present in the network. Here. So once you execute this particular command, you are getting three different interface. This is for Ethernet. This is for your wireless one. Okay. So my system is not connected to any Ethernet connection, so it is not showing any IP address over there. Okay. For local loop, it is for my local system, it is 127.0. So this is fixed. It is reserved in IPv4. It is reserved in IPv4, and this is reserved for IPv6. Okay, so it is fixed and it is reserved. And here I am getting the IP address of my system, right? And this is IPv4 address. This is IPv6 address, fine. And this is an MAC address. This is the MAC address, Ethernet address. Okay, MAC address, it is also called as Ethernet address, physical address, right? So here it is a MAC address of the system. Okay, so this is the first command which is used to identify the if config. Now we run this particular command on your terminal and you have to note down the IP address, whatever the IP address you are getting for your system, and then go to the internet and check for what is my public IP and note down that IP address. Check whether you are getting a similar or a different one. So picture will be clear. So this is private IP. This is private IP, and when I connect to the internet using the internet provider, sorry, internet service provider, that is my public IP. I have to purchase that. I have to pay for it. So public IP, private IP. Next command, that is an ping command. Next command, it is an ping command. Ping command, it is used to check the destination is live or dead. When whatever the destination when you want to connect, whether it is ready or live or dead, whether you can contact, whether it is working or not. So for that, we are using the ping command. Now, this ping command, whatever the communication we are having to this ping command, it use ICMP protocol. It use ICMP protocol. I will check with Google. CO. 3 packet transmitted, 3 received, 0% packet loss, right? And the data communication will successful. Communication is successful. So that it means that ping google.com is live. Google.com is live, or we can have a communication. Check over here the protocol ICMP. The protocol is ICMP protocol, which is used over here, right? So this is again and the destination IP address of the Google, right? So this way you can check. Again, you can try within your network. You can identify one system, or you just uh, plug off that particular system from your internet and try to ping using this command. Identify the IP address of that particular system and try to ping using this particular command, and let's check what output you are getting. So the ping command, it is used to check whether the destination is live or dead, and it is used the ICMP protocol for the communication. Next is network stat. Let's check whether it is work. But before that, we will go for the dig command. So dig command, it is used to query the DNS. Dig command, it is used to query the DNS. Let's see what happened. Dig. Here, right? So it will be the output you are getting over here for this one. Now again, it is query and the answer. It is query and the answer. Then there is an authority of 4. That means it is authorized. Whatever the answer we are getting, it is through the authorized server. Now it will store different, as I explained you, DNS store the data in the form of records, and there are different types of records are there. One is A type, then the 4A. So A type of record, that is IPv4 address. So A type of record will store the IPv4 address for the respective domain. This is 4A, right? So this type of record stored the IPv6 type of address. IPv6 type of address. Here, the same for google.com. So this is IPv4 address of the google.com. Here it is the IPv6 address of the google.com. Again, you can try the variation in this. If you are having a group of people over there, and try to execute a dig command, same for the google.com, it may happen that you will getting different IP address for google.com. Okay. Say for example, here I am getting 142.251.42.46. Sometimes you may get a different. What it means? So here you are getting also that domain name. So here see there is a different IP address. Again, which is of record A, that is an IPv4, right? So here also it is a different domain name. This is also a different domain name, right? Name server. That means there are multiple servers, and these are the different IP addresses of that respective server, from where the query will be served for google.com. For google.com, the protocol which is used here, the UDP, right? COD. So this is IP address 4 byte, right? And then sorry, and so here 53 after hash. So this is an IP address, that server whatever from where we are getting, and here it is an 53. So this is port number, the 53 port number, which is used for DNS communication. So whenever we are trying to query to DNS, that particular communication will take place through the port number 53. Every time it will be happen through the port number 53. When we write that HTTP or HTTPS in the web browser, so that communication will be take place through the port number 80 or port number 80, right? So say these are the unique port number. For DNS, it is 53, port number 53, which is mentioned. Along with this, A, and for A type of record, there are MX record is also there, that is called as an mail exchange. So for any web application, if there are some special mail servers are designed for that, and the IP address of that mail server is stored in the MX record of the domain name system. Domain name system. So these are the different records that you can have into the DM, into the DMS. Next is ARP. NS lookup is same. NS lookup is same, like a dig one. Again, it is used to query the DNS. The same output you are getting, you can use either NS lookup or you can use a dig. Then there will be the ARP. Now, what is ARP? So ARP, it is address resolution protocol. It is an address resolution protocol. Now, when I explain you the addresses, in that we study about logical address and physical address. Right? Or we call it is an MAC address, or we call it is an MAC address, right? Now, when we are having a communication in the network, we will require corresponding MAC address of logical address, or for any logical address, we will require the corresponding MAC address. There we can't perform the communication of logical address of one system and MAC address of another system. No. It should be the corresponding that logical address and MAC address. It should be belongs to the same system. It should belongs to the same system, and the packet will be forwarded to that destination. Now, how we can find out, or how the network will help you to find out the logical address and the corresponding MAC address. For that, there is a protocol called ARP. Protocol called ARP. It is address resolution protocol. Address resolution protocol. So it will identify the MAC address of the corresponding logical address. Logical address. Right. So again, it is in the form of it will store the data in the form of tables, the logical address and the corresponding MAC address. Now, how the communication that ARP protocol will do? So when what ARP protocol will do, whenever there is a request for MAC address, what ARP protocol will do, it will broadcast that particular message. What do you mean by broadcast? It will share, it will get to the throughout the network. Whatever the node present in the network, each and every node will receive that particular address. It will broadcast that. Okay? This is the logical address, and I am finding the MAC address of this logical address. Right? So this message will be broadcast. So whatever the node present in the network, they will search, they will check their logical address. If they found the same logical address, like whatever the ARP is broadcasting, they will send a reply. So that reply, it is a unicast. It will be to that particular logical address only. But reply, it is unicast, but request is a broadcast. Request is broadcast, reply is unicast. So this is the MAC address, right? So this way ARP will get a MAC address of that particular logical address. It will send to the receiver or to that to particular sender. Then sender will put all these addresses into IP header, and the packet will forward, and then it will reach to the destination. It will reach to the destination. Now, this concept is used by the hacker because hackers they know how that ARP protocol works. And when ARP protocol will broadcast that message, when ARP protocol will broadcast that message, I am looking for the MAC address for this logical address. What the MAC hacker will do, it will send its MAC address as a reply. It's saying and MAC address, its own MAC address as a reply to that request. Okay. Now ARP as the function implies, it is getting both the logical address and the MAC address. The sender will send the data to that respective destination, to the respective destination. That means hacker can access that particular data using uh, the vulnerability which is present in the ARP, and that type of attack is called ARP spoofing. It is called as an ARP spoofing. So this is ARP. Now let's check for this. What we are getting into ARP cache. The command is simple, ARP hyphen A, this way. Right? So IP address, logical address, and the IP address and the corresponding MAC address. Right? Then there will be the network statistics, network stat. It will show the statistics about the network. Let's check whether it is running. Yeah. Again, this is used to troubleshoot your network, which port is open, which port is closed, which operating system. It will give you detailed information the about the network in which your computer system is working. Okay. So this is also that operating system and all these things you are getting. You can try at your own, and you can check with the output, but it will show that network statistic. It will show you the details about the what are the state of the port which are there, which are connected, which are closed, and all these things, right? Again, the operating system and all these things you are getting over there. So for that, there is an netstat command is used. So these are the various commands that are used to troubleshoot the one. Then there will be the root command which will identify the root. Let's check for it. So I think it is not installed on my system and it's not working. Along with that, you can have various commands you can try at your own. That TCP6 TCP, so it is for transmission control protocol, and using this command. So here, this is the etc folder, and in that folder there is a protocol folder, and in that you are getting the details about the protocols. What are the different protocols are present? Okay. Then at the SHS you are getting a different services. What are the different services? So and through which protocol that communication happen, right? So that is also there. Here in this the etc network and interface, at this particular path you are getting what are the different interfaces present for your system. Interface present for your system. Interface is nothing but we can say it is used to connect to the internet. Okay. So through that we can connect the different interface we are having. So for interface you will getting this type of output. Okay. For interface. So what are the different interface and what are the different addresses for that particular uh, sorry, this is for here you are getting localhost, then inet loopback ETH0. If you are connected to the wireless one, you are getting WLPS. Okay, so wireless port, wireless interface also. So that information you are getting at this particular path. Then you can identify the fixed IP. What are the different fixed IP you are having for your system? So this address, then what is the fixed address for the broadcast? What is the network mask and what is the gateway address? Gateway address. Fine. So this is used to troubleshoot the network, right? So when again the hacker will use the same command to troubleshoot the network, and once they are getting this information, they will penetrate to your system. So this way. Here are some output for Windows system. I execute that on Linux. If you are having a Windows system, you will getting this type of output. Command will be the same, arp-a. This is for netstat-r. So this is for the Windows one. In Linux, you are getting a different output. The information you are getting the same. Information you are getting the same when you are executing that netstat command, but the view is different, right? So what are the active routes and all this? These are the screenshot. I already executed this command on Windows system. If you are having a Windows system, go to your CMD and try to execute the command netstat-r. Then there are again to check the speed of the internet at your system. So this is a command. Then you can give the speed to this one, the 100, 1000 and all this way you can specify, and that speed will you can modify this one. Then there will be TCP dump, and along with that host, you just try this command and check whatever the output you are getting. So here with respect to NAT, okay. So what NAT in that you are having in the NAT, you are having uh, pre-routing, we call it is a block, pre-routing, post-routing, and the output one. And all these information are stored into that NAT table. All this information are stored into that NAT table. So when you execute this particular command, IP table -t NAT -nvl. Okay, so let's check for this one. It will execute my and I am not establish any NAT gateway. So each and every record will be the clear. The command is IP tables. For that, I will require the root privilege. So I will execute with sudo IP table. -t NAT. -nvl. So it is asking password, right? So it shows. So as such, I don't have any NAT table. I have not specified any NAT table for my system. You can establish that one. You can connect. You can try this on the virtual machine and try to execute this particular command. You will getting the output in the specified format. So what is pre-routing for first? Pre-routing means before routing, before start routing, what will be the values, okay, what will be the private IP, what will be the public IP, and how they are getting that, what will be the input, what will be the output, and what after routing, once you go out from the network, what will be the values that you are getting over here. So this way you can try. So the same option you are getting. You just try this on your virtual machine. Then the important one I will try with the Wireshark. Wireshark, it is network, sorry, packet sniffing tool. You can sniff various packet using the Wireshark. Installation guideline you are getting on the internet. I already installed on my system. So I will use the command sudo Wireshark. So it start executing. So this is a GUI for this. Here we are getting a different interface which are available. There are different interface which are available, and you have to select any one interface through which you can want to sniff the packet. Okay, so I will choose that wireless interface, and here it is an blue button. Click, select the interface and click on this blue button. It will start capturing the packet. It will start capturing the packet. So this Wireshark, it is a background process. You can start the Wireshark in the background. Go to your internet browser, search over there, say for example, youtube.com or google.com. Right? Search something over there. Go to Wireshark. You can stop capturing the packet. Now your packets are captured for the activity that you run on the internet, right? Now you can analyze this one. You can analyze this one. There are different filters you can apply. So check for any protocol, HTTP. Let's check. There is no packet capture. Say for TCP. There are too many protocol that packet are captured for this particular protocol. Fine. So these are the packet capturing window. Here we are getting the various protocols. So if you go for internet protocol, here we are getting the details about the data that you are having. Okay. So and this will be with respect to this particular packet, whatever I selected over here. Fine. So here version 4, it is for IPv4. Header length, it is 20 byte. Minimum is 20 byte. Then there will be the differentiated services, which protocol it is used and all this, the length, right? What is the flags over there? What is represent? Don't fragment that particular packet, right? Then there will be time to live. Now, along with the IP protocol, which protocol it is used for communication? TCP. It is used for the TCP. Then it is the checksum. What will be the checksum over there, which is unverified over here? And then the source address and the destination address. Here also you can verify the source address and the destination address. Same you are getting. So this is the detailed information about the IP header. IP header, which will be transmit from one place to another, and that particular packet is captured by the Wireshark, and you can check the details. The same transmission control protocol. Okay, so what values you are getting into this particular packet? What is the source port through which the communication happen? What is the destination port, right? Then sequence number, as it is an connection oriented, so there will be the sequence number that is for request, and there is an acknowledgement, right? There is an acknowledgement, right? So the push and the acknowledgement. So this way the communication will take place. So connection oriented. And this window you are getting same value, whatever the values you are having in the hexadecimal format. So these are the different headers of the various protocol, and the value you can analyze the values for each and every field within that header format. So you can explore this also. So it is a packet sniffing tool. which is run in the background, and you can capture the packet uh, through whatever the communication you are having with inter the inter. So that is used. You can check for vulnerabilities, like if you are having any vulnerable website, and in that vulnerable website, if you log in, and that particular packet will be captured by the Wireshark, it will show you the address, sorry, email address as well as the password, the credential you use to log into that uh, web application. Okay, so that is applicable to the vulnerable website only. Okay, so which are already tested. Say for example, if I log into the Gmail, right, and search for my inbox, that particular packet will be captured, but it will not capture the password of the Gmail, because it is not a vulnerable website. You have to check for the vulnerable website, try to log in using the password, and that password will be captured into the Wireshark. So this way you can explore this particular tool. So this is all about the fundamentals of computer network. In that we study about the definition, addresses, the protocol, various internetworking devices which are used for the communication. We try to execute various networking commands which are used to troubleshoot your network and to collect the information. And we explore the Wireshark tool. Okay. So if you are having any query, let me know. Faisal, it's over from my side. Sorry, Faizan.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to the live chat to see if the students have any questions. Um, there doesn't seems to be any questions, ma'am.
Okay.
Seems like the session was amazing, so amazing that either they are overwhelmed with the knowledge that you have shared, the information you have shared, or it was so amazingly explained that they don't have any more doubts.
Yeah, these are all the basic concept. My request to all the participant, please go through all these concept, whatever we studied today. There is one book called Data Communication by Forozen, which is the PDF is available online. You go through it, and the concept will be more clear. Okay, the revision will be there definitely. So go through that book. Revision will be there, and it will help you to succeed your journey in cyber security, because networking it is very basic and foundation for the cyber.
That's great advice. I am sure that many of the students will be taking that advice. So I would like to extend a great thanks to you that you came so off time due to like in India I do know that it's late night now, so it's really we are really honored that you took out the time from your schedule and you are giving this session and passing on the information that you have.
Thank,
Uh,
thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Good night to
So,
everyone.
good night from India.
Yeah, good night from India. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Shall I exit?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. So we will be ending the session here. Thanks a lot, ma'am. And
Thank
thanks a
you.
lot, everyone, for joining in. And we will be looking forward for the next sessions.